Hello, everybody, and welcome to Robert Sarazin Blake from the Kitchen Table. I'm Robert Sarazin Blake, and this is the Kitchen Table, and we are coming to you live, as we always do, from the most northwest corner of the most northwest city, the most northwest state in the lower 48. That's Bellingham, Washington, my home. And actually, this week, we really are in the northwest corner of the most northwest city. I mean, we could get out to the Birchwood neighborhood, but we're in the Columbia neighborhood, and that's pretty far to the north and west of town. And if you're in the Columbia neighborhood or would like to be, there's room for a few more here in our distanced live audience. And if you're out there at the kitchen table that stretches out from Bellingham to Buffalo and New York, and to the south, and to the east, and to Atlanta, and to San Diego, and all the places beyond, welcome. So glad to have you at this kitchen table that reaches all over the place. We have a special guest with us, Flip Breskin and Zeke Hoskin, who do live right here in this neighborhood and have been playing music in Bellingham longer than I've lived here, and I'm really looking forward to hearing them and chatting with them later on. And, of course, my associate David Penderlofgren on my right. On my morning walk, the song started floating in my head, and I thought, that's what we'll do this week. We're going to play some songs off a record I made 10 or more years ago called The Beautiful in the Afternoon. I think this is the first song on the record. It is. Roadkills, musicians in the bars in the small towns. When it's on the house, sure I'll have another round. They lock the door at 2 and we hang around. Walk out in the early morning light, smoking cigarettes. Can't quite say we lost our bets. Got a gig next weekend that ought to pay the rent. Still somehow waiting for the phone call. Get on someone's stage and make a lot of dough. Until then, yeah, man, I'll be around here, you know. Talking about the record of that old band. We really could have made it, man, if we had the chance. Remember that time we got stuck in Valentine, Nebraska. Walk home, birds are singing, you're swerving between signposts. Hear some sucker's alarm go off through an open window. Hear the morning calling through the stars now. But you're smiling and slapping the signpost. Red sky scares away the ghost. Just a man walking home in somewhat warm clothes. Thank you very much, everybody. And we, of course, have a drink every week all together. Wherever this kitchen table lands, you are very welcome to have a drink with us. And last week, Kim, who decides our drinks every week, all the way there from Buffalo, New York, she said this week we'll be having Jack, Lime, and ginger. And, well, I looked in the cupboard. I thought, yes, I must have. I assumed she meant Jack Daniels, but it turns out no matter what she meant, what I had in the cabinet was Yukon Jack. So we're advertising, I suppose, this somewhat obscure and very strong liqueur that was not intended for it to be the drink of the week, but has ended up being my drink of the week. And actually, it really says summertime. Yeah, you wouldn't want this any other time of year. It's definitely a summertime experience. Thank you to Kim for helping us get together with that. Next week, she's decided we're drinking Moscow Mules. Is that what the Big Lebowski drinks?
No.
Okay, we're not. That's a White Russian, isn't it? But both sort of Russian themed. I wonder if there's any drinks for current leaders of Russia, like a Gorbachev. Well, I understand. See, you have your father in the audience, and just you can't get away with the little showbiz. Contemporary, I guess I should have said 1980s. I wonder if there's any drinks for 1980s Russian leaders. That's a good trivia question. Not the one I have prepared, but a very good trivia question. What years was Gorbachev in charge of Russia? Those are interesting to me. Obviously not now. My father's cleared that up for all of us. And I said the 80s, and I'm feeling pretty good about that, but I was kind of curious how long the man was in charge. The trivia question is of totally less political nature. The trivia question this week is on the Simon & Garfunkel song, April Come She Will. What do they say happens in July? That is the question, not to be shouted out here, but it is to be put in the comments for the people who are at home watching. Or you could, in the audience, you could put this. You could get out your phones and stare at your screen, and I don't know. You could be doing stock trading out there. I wouldn't know. April come she will. What happens in July? We'll get to that later. I'm going down a little bit of memory lane here, playing songs off my record called "The Beautiful in the Afternoon." On this beautiful, and now here we are on a combined, it's a beautiful afternoon, performing songs from Beautiful and the Afternoon. What was I doing next? Oh, yeah. I think we'll stick with it. That's what we'll do. I first had a shot of Yukon Jack at the Stables Yukon Jack Bar in Mullingar, Ireland. A place most people would not go if they were on a tourist trip of Ireland. Mullingar just probably wouldn't be on the route you would take, but I was doing a gig there, and afterward the publican offered me a drink of Yukon Jack. He said, "Do you like Yukon Jack?" I said, "Yes." You know? Why would you say no to that sort of offering there? So then I saw it in the store not too long ago, and it reminded me of that gig quite a long time ago, and I thought, I'm going to have a bottle of Yukon Jack. It might just come in handy. And it has. Zoe's been drinking. Zoe's been drinking. Zoe's been drinking again. Last time I saw her out in the town, she had all four sheets in the wind. At first I was afraid to join the parade, but soon enough I jumped in. 'Cause Zoe was drinking, Zoe was drinking, Zoe was drinking again. Started on a Sunday and moved to a Monday, Tuesday with the country band too. Wednesday found us out at the Grand, something we all used to do. The band still plays, but I'm afraid the nights I make it a few. Unless Zoe's been drinking, Zoe's been drinking, Zoe's been drinking again. And she says was in my mind trying to decide whether or not I was going to see if anybody knew the response. And I thought, no, I'll just say it. But then I said the wrong response. So that is what happens when a performer and an audience have spent a long time together. We start to confuse each other. The response is, well, you can't know the response until I sing my line. This is some very good stuff here, this Yukon Jack. One sip to make you forget the lyric, one sip to bring it back. And she says, I'm going to Mexico.
I've heard that one.
Yeah, okay, we got one. That's the thing about it. I've been doing this show for a year and a half, and I have one fan. And that means a lot. That means a lot to me. The response is, I said I've heard that line before. Try that.
I've heard that line before.
And she says, I'm going to Mexico.
I said I've heard that line before.
She said, you don't believe me. You don't believe me. You don't believe me. It's true. Though all I've said, though often read, it was all so blue. But if you don't trust, I'll do what I must. I'll fly away from you. That's when I just say, Zoe's been drinking. Zoe's been drinking. Zoe's been drinking again. And there's so many places we want to go. Talk about it again and again. But the places we end up are the places we've already been. When Zoe's been drinking, Zoe's been drinking, Zoe's been drinking again. And me too, what else can I do? I like to be with my friends. You should come too, there's plenty to do. We're not worried about when we'll get home. Then he'd be singing, then he'd be swinging, then he'd be drinking again. I've learned from experience, it's good to tune after that thing that I just did to this 1978 Martin D35. That the man who works on my guitar, every time I bring it into him, he just kind of goes, you could, all right. There we go. Emily's sister lives in Milwaukee. She has an apartment there with Amy and Annie and River West. Black's the color of her hair, and every time I see her, she has a boyfriend she can't quit. But it doesn't stop her eyes once we went ahead and kissed. Well, it was late and we've been drinking. It was starting to rain. On a hilltop in the city park, watch the lights, hear the trains in Milwaukee. coming up on dawn. Walk home falling, kissing on the lawn. She said, leave the window open, I like to smell the rain as it comes in through the window. You know my dreams just aren't the same with the dry air that comes in from the hall. And if you like, you can take the side by the wall. Well, it's ease of walking, conversation like held hands, more like a hammock, less like a rubber band, side of wood, a yard of snow. I remember afternoons, spending nights alone. Now I wonder if she thinks of me, or if it was just a flame. So what do you say when all you got are words and it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that? Hard to tell when you're so far a swing. Writes me letters, doesn't send them. I think of her when I dream. She said, leave the window open, I like to smell the rain as it comes in through the window. You know my dreams just aren't the same with the dry air comes in from the hall. And if you like, you can take the side by the wall. And if you like, you can take the side by the wall. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here at the kitchen table. It is time, of course, now for the third song check-in. Just got to see how everybody's doing. Here we get into the zone. We start doing the music. We can't forget that there are people out there along for the ride with us, beyond the people right here, heading out to all those people through the ones and zeros, the screens and the cables. That's David's department, and they're out there. And David, can you give us a report for what's happening in comment land? I'm wondering if anybody other than Henry got the question right.
Well, it does look like someone other than Henry got the question right. But I have to say, before we even get to that point,
yes,
the headline from Facebook land is that Salamander Cinco is in the house all the way from Mullingar, Ireland.
Yeah, a special return. We haven't seen Salamander for a while, and she was there indeed the night that I first had a sip of Yukon Jack. She may have poured it. She was the bartender, and she will let us know the name of that great publican who ran the joint. Tommy is coming to me. Sarah, let us know if that's correct.
She says, hello from Mullingar. Can't stay up long. It is probably 2 in the morning or something there. But I'm excited to hear a song or three. And later on mentions in the comments that, let's see, not just anyone was allowed a sample of Yukon Jack in the Yukon Bar. You had to do something special. Yeah, Tommy was the owner there. Went there to get his gold before opening the bar where Robert Sarazin Blake played in the 2000s. So Salamander's in the house. We have all of the regular irregulars joining us. Robust crowd this afternoon. And I think Chris Norman, it looks like, got the answer to our trivia question. Should I say it out loud?
I'll say it right. Well, you say it out loud. You're sounding good.
I mean, according to Chris Norman, the answer is July, she will fly.
And give no warning to her flight. Now we know. Now we know. People didn't know, and now they know. That is the kind of fun we have here at the kitchen table. So glad to be here with you. And we have a great guest coming up. 2 great guests. We have 2 for 1 this week. We have Flip Breskin and Zeke Hoskin, our guests here from the Columbia neighborhood. We're going to be swapping songs with them. a little later on. And please, everybody out there in comment land, don't forget about the digital tip jar. You can throw us some money in the Venmo or the PayPal, and you can also put a check in the mail. All that information's in the comments. Glad to have you. You have some neighbors walking by. You're very welcome here. It'll all make sense to you later. I understand it might not make sense to you right now. Oh, they were trying to get here. They saw the Facebook post and they've just been biking around, listening for the sound. Well, you're very welcome here at the kitchen table.
A reminder to those who are watching online that if you want to invite your friends virtually to the kitchen table, you can of course share the stream that's happening online. You can @symbol your Facebook friend's name and invite them to join us spontaneously as the show is happening. And of course, if you want to stay up to date on all of the happenings, including information about what the drink of the week is for next week, you can join the Kitchen Table Irregulars Facebook group, which is available somewhere on Facebook.
And as a recap, we know two things. We know that White Russian is not the drink next week, and we know that Gorbachev is no longer in a position of power. So we're learning things as we go here. Let's celebrate the Yukon. Whenever the Yukon comes up, I do this song here that I wrote after doing a tour of the Yukon, and it was a 12-day tour. There are 2 cities in the Yukon that have more than 500 people in them. So most of it was lived up to what I've been doing all these years, traveling around playing concerts to small groups of people in small rooms. And I wrote this song on my flight home with the help of John Hartford, who was long gone, but I just didn't think he'd mind if I borrowed a few notes from a melody of his. Goodbye to the Yukon, goodbye to the snow, goodbye to the cold, cold clouds. I'm off in the morning, south through northern air, wishing I was old crow bound. Eldorado deals cards all night. Yukon, Dawson City don't close. Goodbye to the Huskies, the mountains, the Mounties, the whiskeys to warm up your smile, the taverns in Dawson, hotel in Haines Junction, Carcross and Snookum Jim. There's a hotel on the lake in Island, old brothel at the edge of town. For the midnight sun, the tourists come, we show 'em a real good time. The ghost of Jack London keeps 'em coming, and service keeps them all smiles. I wish I was at the Gold Rush Hotel. I wish I was at the old bar. The Yanks off to Anchorage, stop in the summer, fuel up for the drive. It's better in the winter, turn on the radio, 7 o'clock Friday night. Yeah, I wish I was at the Gold Rush Hotel. I wish I was at the downtown bar. I wish I didn't have to leave every winter. I wish I was there where you are, floating the Yukon with the toucan, looking up at the stars. So goodbye to the Yukon, goodbye to the snow, goodbye to the cold, cold ground. I'm off in the morning, south through northern air, wishing I was old Crowbar. My flight, it is idling, my time I'll be biding till I'm back around. Do a few more songs from the beautiful in the afternoon, and then we'll have the pleasure of having our guests play some music for us here. When he responded to her story, her mind had just kept going, thinking about her feelings. She did not hear a word he said. She did not mean to be ignoring, it's just her mind, it kept on racing. She listened with her eyes and nodded at the right time. His mind was more like glue you had to sort of shovel through the implicated phrases to the point that he was trying. It got to the point that neither one knew what the other one was speaking of. So they smiled and cuddled up, said, I love you, turtle dove. Turtle dove, I love you. Here's a ring for your finger, love me do. Turtle dove, I love you pure. Here's a ring for your finger, I'm so sure. So they decided they would watch a show. It was one they'd both seen before. They liked it so they remembered, let's watch it one time more. About a man who went to war, but not too heavy, actually funny, really. They zoned out the dialogue just like the time before. And when the credits they did roll, she requested a trip to the store. I will go, he said, I will meet you in bed. Turtle dove, I love you. Here's a ring for your finger, love me do. Turtle dove, I love you pure. Here's a ring for your finger, I'm so sure. Becomes a year, you know, it's work, it's house, it's sleep, it's beer. Summer's almost here. Put a chair out on the lawn. He reads a book, she reads a paper. On a Monday reserved for labor, boy, does he think, can she just go on and on and on and on? And he doesn't mind it just one bit. Knows how to respond to it. Knows he won't say anything she doesn't want to hear. So it goes and so it is. Not everyone's life is like showbiz. He's building a new bed tonight. They will sleep on the floor. Turtle dove, I love you. Here's a ring for your finger, love me do. Turtle dove, I love you pure. Here's a ring for your finger, I'm so sure. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, just got in the zone. This record was recorded in Bellingham with upright bass player Josh Brahinsky, my good buddy Mike Rigoni on the pedal steel, Mark Huber on harmonica, and the one and only Jordan Yogoman was on drums. And it was Rich Knut recorded it in his studio at the old Graveyard Monument building there where it turned into Bellingham Music. Was that Fussner's Monuments? Fussner's Monuments was recording studio for about 10 minutes, and I had the pleasure of recording in there. And it was Rich also lived there, and we had mattresses up against the wall to provide some version of sound baffling and some version of comfort for Rich in the evening when it was time to sleep. And so grateful to make that record with those fellas. And spend a little time playing these old songs for you now. It was a long drive. Too long, really. And it was a shame to get up so early. Leave the roses and the bridges. Get out of bed. Kiss the missus for a long drive. Bodies of water, something to point to. Oceans and lakes, let them wash you. But when you cross the river, something's bound to change. Time to embrace the plans you made for a long drive. Roll on Columbia, I didn't sing it on that long drive. Someone spent money to get in the door, passed through my hands, now it sits in a drawer. Read the headlines, filled the tank. Abraham Lincoln never gets to my bank on a long drive. And the cities that rise from the suburbs, stadiums, and the scrapers, but from the highway, just a bunch of exits. You gotta pass before breakfast on a long drive. Tacoma, overpass, they're waving flags. I could only guess. Was it for New Orleans? Was it Veterans Day? Was it for my fuel? I dare not say. On a long drive past Mount Rainier, but I didn't see it on that long drive. right lane. 6 army tanks, heads poking out. We waved, flashed a peace sign. They turned away. Clear to me, it's gonna be a long drive past the Puget Sound, but I didn't see it on that long drive. Thank you, everybody. I didn't expect your marriage to hit me so hard. I didn't expect your marriage to hit me so hard. I went back to when I met you, and to when you were mine. Your voice sounded good. Your voice sounded good. It wasn't an ocean, it was shining. It was a robin, it was rhyming. Rhyming. When I hung up the phone, when I hung up the phone, I just had to sit down. I just had to sit down. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here at the kitchen table. Such a pleasure to be here. It is July. It is the 11th of July. When we were thinking of trivia questions, I was reminded that this is the date in 1806 when Hamilton had a duel. And I thought, well, I don't want to celebrate a duel because we come to the kitchen table in the spirit of collaboration. And so I welcome to the guests and collaborations my neighbors here in Bellingham and residents of this neighborhood of Bellingham. That's Flip Breskin and Zeke Hoskin. I just learned Zeke's last name because when your first name is Zeke, it's, when your first name is Zeke, people know who you are by your first name. Robert, on the other hand, you have to have two last names for anyone to have any clue whatsoever as to what's going on. So please welcome here in the live audience, that is Flip Breskin and Zeke Hoskin here at the kitchen table.
Thank you.
So happy to have you here. And it looks like they're not actually in the same space as us, but they are. It's just that it's a creative setup is all there is to it. So just so you know, how can we let the viewing audience know that it really is real? I could lob this lime at you, but I just don't want to do it. I want to lob the lime. So glad to have you here. How are you feeling today?
Thank you.
So far, so good.
Okay.
Happy to be here. You knew the answer to his first trivia question. I watched.
August, die she must.
No. The first one, Gorbachev.
Oh,
He's
no,
like
no,
that.
no.
Oh, Gorbachev. What years was Gorbachev in power? That one?
Oh, I said 87 and 97, but I was guessing.
Okay. All right. Well, there's nothing wrong with either A, guessing or fabricating a response to a trivia response. We wouldn't want it to be about facts. It's more about the enjoyment of life at the kitchen table. Now, we'll just let you have at it here.
That's for
Flip has this
Simon and
incredible
Garfunkel,
guitar
yes.
she was showing us earlier. I said I'm going to let her have it, but then I kept on talking. That's a nice thing to do, isn't it? Well, what can I say? Flip has this beautiful guitar she was telling us about. Flip, is it true that the neighborhood, the Columbia neighborhood, or was it the country of Columbia, gifted you this guitar?
In my neighborhood. This
Her
is
neighborhood.
my neighborhood.
That's so cool.
And yeah, the guitar was a gift from so many directions that I just. Let's see what I can do here. Oh, really?
Maybe before you jump right in, Flip, I moved to Bellingham in the mid-'90s, and before too long I was aware that there was someone named Flip who was organizing concerts and playing concerts. And so how long have you been in Bellingham making music one way or another?
January 6, 1971.
January 6, 1971. Flip stormed Bellingham.
Actually, I kind of did. I decided I was going to go to Fairhaven College, but I couldn't get an answer out of anybody, so I just packed up the car and came.
Oh, good. Yeah. And it worked out.
Yeah, they let me in.
Okay.
Didn't you start Mama Sundays up there?
I inherited Mama Sundays. Bob Forrest started Mama Sundays Hot Rod and Hamburger Haven. It was the Friday night concert series. And I had a great time doing that.
And ran it
The rest of us who got to go.
for the at-home audience. Mama Sunday's concert series that ran in Bellingham for a very long time.
Yes.
And my personal connection is that I saw an artist play up there in about 1997, right about the time I dropped out of college, whose name will hit me later on. But she said, on the East Coast, there's venues that are small, and you can play them solo, and people listen. I went, really? And then the next year I moved to Philadelphia to figure out if that was absolutely true. So Aaron McEwen was the one who told me, because here in Bellingham, all the clubs and the bars were big rooms, 100 minimum. And she said there's actually a circuit. There's rooms you can play as a folk singer on the East Coast. I said, I got to go check that out. So you're part of my story right there.
I just changed my mind. I think I'll do this. Yeah, when I started running Mama Sundays, there was a regular crowd of about 20. And I got so excited about who I could hire and inviting people that we wound up with a regular crowd of 200. And it's when I found out I could have an impact on the world. No, oh, I'm not there yet. Give me a second. The guitar sounds so much better in tune. George Thomas over in Birchwood built this to fit my hands and my body. That might do it. Will it do? It might do. We'll try. Change the pace very much. This is a tune, and the tune is called Summertime, Summertime.
Oh, good to know.
Did I give him a clue? No. It's a pretty different feel, but first time I heard that tune, I was like, oh, that goes slow enough for me. Made me very happy. Hey, Zeke, would you do that? What key do we do that
C.
in? C.
See you today.
This is in honor of Oscar, who lives here.
We got a couch the other day, likewise an easy chair. The room just didn't look right when we dragged them into there. The feng shui wasn't proper, we had furniture to move. To the cat, it's new geography, the cat did not approve. The cat did not approve, the cat did not approve. To the cat, it's new geography, the cat did not approve. We got a chunk of salmon and we fixed it up real nice with lemon juice and pasta, some vegetables and rice. We gave the cat some cat food, and we drank to people who've earned themselves a real nice meal. The cat did not approve. The cat did not approve.
The cat does not approve. We earned ourselves a real nice meal.
The cat did not approve. The kitty's claws are very sharp and getting very long. Gotta find a way to trim them and survive to sing this song. The cat becomes a Cuisinart, therefore it doth behoove the kitty's staff to trim its claws. The cat does not approve. The cat does not approve. The cat does not approve. We have to trim the kitty's claws. The cat did not approve. We threw a music party and we had a happy crowd. We were singing, we were picking, we were getting pretty loud. By midnight we were rocking, we were really in the groove, and we got too loud to sleep through. The cat did not approve. The cat did not approve. The cat did not approve. We got too loud to sleep through, and the cat did not approve. We had a quiet day at home, just flying around the house. We ran the laser pointer and we tossed the catnip mouse. We cuddled and we petted, and by now I'm sure that you've figured when we finally stopped, the cat did not approve. The cat did not approve. The cat did not approve. You figured when we finally stopped, the cat did not approve. The cat does not approve of us, she's very clear of that. And who gives a damn about a disapproving cat?
I figured there's supposed to be sing-along choruses. We are in the Columbia neighborhood. We are in my beloved Columbia neighborhood. So let's do that. It's got a sing-along chorus. And somewhere in here, I have the rest of the words. And
Don't try this at home, kids.
right, I tend to forget the words. So
I
it's,
tend to make them up on the spot.
he does, it's true. No, I did, I brought them. Ha, success. There are lots of them. Okay, I live over on Cherry Street, 2500 block. And this is a true story. And it started with Terry Hansen used to take guitar lessons from me. When he retired from Georgia Pacific, he'd always wanted to play guitar. So he showed up to take lessons, and after a while, all his horseshoe buddies also showed up. And Terry gardened, and like people will like drop a grocery bag of zucchinis on your front porch. Terry would, one day he showed up with a pickup truck with a wheelbarrow in back, and he filled the wheelbarrow full of apples and headed for my front door. Okay, so there's the setting. Terry brings boxes of Gravensteins, more darn apples than you've ever seen. What'll I do with too much food? Bake some pies since I'm in the mood. Mountains of apples and not enough flour. Bea's got plenty, says she'll come for an hour. She's slicing apples, I'm making crust. We're messing up the kitchen, bacon fit to bust. Cherry Street, apple pie.
I wanna live here while the world goes by. Making pie with friends, friends with pie. On Cherry Street.
That's your chorus. Bee wants to make one for Sharon and Bill. With Bill's phony sugar, he can eat his fill. We phone up Sharon, got some sugar substitute. She brings a box and herself to boot. Well, half an hour later, and here comes Bill. You gal seen my wife? He settles in the corner with my tiger cat.
as the years go by, making pie with friends, friends with pie on Cherry Street.
Now here's Selena with a great big grin. She sees her mom and she dances in. We teach her how to pinch a crust, all those baking tricks our moms showed us. Still too many apples, so we phone up Gretchen. Bring more tins so we don't have to fetch 'em. Baby Toby sleeps till his nap time ends. Kitchen's full of pie plates, apples and friends. Cherry Street, apple pie.
I wanna live here as the years go by, making pie with friends, friends with pie on Cherry Street.
Well, flour and sugar and cinnamon, little lemon rind, that's the last thing in. Very last apple is sliced and peeled, with little heart cutouts, the crust is sealed. Then 4 houses crank their ovens up high, starting to bake in 16 pies. B says, look, there's enough to eat for every house on Cherry Street. Cherry Street, apple pie.
I wanna live here as the years go by, making pie with friends, friends with pie on Cherry Street.
Well, we knock on the door with our apple pies, make some brand new friends with a sweet surprise. For Miko and Judy, Marta and her flock, Orma with her puppies at the end of the block. We made a special little pie to take to Russ. He's old and deaf, he's an ornery cuss, but Bill's not scared, he knew him back when. Leads us through the gate and safely out again. Cherry Street, apple pie. I wanna live here while the years go by, making pie with friends, friends with pie on Cherry Street. Well, Jeff and Carol and Rick and Jerry, Doug and Yoshi, Charles and Sherry. She's got attitude to spare with her black leather jacket and her stealth wheelchair. A Carly, Cody, Matt and Wyatt back across the alley, it's an all-pie diet. Michael, Justin, Brett and Zeke didn't get to cook, but they sure did eat. Cherry Street, apple pie.
I wanna live here as the years go by, making pie with friends, friends with pie on Cherry Street.
Now Daryl grows flowers, corn and peas, bought his bungalow from Louise. We drive to the nursing home with her tree, 'cause her heart still lives on Cherry Street. Cherry Street, apple pie. I wanna live here as the years go by, making pie with friends, friends with pie on Cherry Street. Well, we don't agree on God or politics, but we do take soup when folks get sick. We do share pie, it tastes so sweet. We do agree we love Cherry Street. Cherry Street, apple pie.
I wanna live here as the years go by, making pie with friends, friends with pie on Cherry Street.
True story.
I bet we get to do about one more.
Well, you gonna do?
Let's do 2 more. You're in the zone.
Okay.
Okay.
Will you do the rainbow song? Oh, I have to do this. A physicist's view of a rainbow.
And with respect to the authors of Over the Rainbow and Rainbow Connection and Puff the Magic Dragon, it's When you see a rainbow, it's always square on. Both ends are equally far. There's never an end where you are, where a quest could begin. It's second-hand sunlight, just like the moon, reflected by drops in the air. Bend into an arch way up there, an upside-down grin. The sun shines into each raindrop, reflects from the other side. Each color bent into its own separate arc, half a horizon wide. A rainbow has meanings we might understand if it isn't an end to dull care. At least it stopped raining somewhere, that much can be seen. It's a promise of plenty the sky gives the land, and the thirsty crops planted below get the water they needed to grow, turn the fertile fields green. Some say it's the sign that told Noah it was safe now to land the ark, or the hint that showed Newton the nature of light in a time when the world was dark. If you find the end of a rainbow, you can follow its path without fear. You may find a pot of fairy gold, or a land with more magic than here. But take this advice from a lover of dreams that shimmer and break. Don't ever dream that you're dreaming. You may dream yourself back awake. The rain stopped falling, the sun shines behind. The rainbow glows soft in the sky. God's painting rag hung up to dry, too high up to reach. If I hung my dreams there, perhaps I could find the land of Oz lost in the fog, or maybe meet Kermit the Frog on his vine-tangled beach. Or maybe all dreaming is pointless. There's no such dragon as Puff. But rainbows are fleeting and beautiful is enough.
I promised this one to Rick Van Krugel up on Vancouver Island, north of Victoria. Because
Rick listening in?
I hope so. He said he was going to try.
All right.
If it's available later, I can send him the link too.
Oh, yeah, it's forever.
Oh, okay. Well, one of my thoughts was to do some songs not available on the internet. I've been singing this for many decades, but I went looking for it for him and I couldn't find it. So I figured, all right, let's get it where it can be accessed. It was written by Gene Ritchie's son, Peter Pico, and Gene, apparently. And they did it to the tune of When the Curtains of Night Are pinned up by the stars. But I didn't know that one. And John Welch taught me a song called The Cowboy Waltz. And man, this just dropped right on. The two tunes are very related. But Rick just restored a Gene Autry autographed plywood guitar in absolutely exquisite shape when he was done. Let me tell you a story and sing you a song. Just 44 verses, it won't take me long. About my adventures, been known near and far. Me and the world's most fantastic guitar. With her cowboys and sunsets and 3 plastic coats. She's beautifully stenciled with musical notes. With her bright silver sequins, she shines like a star. My Gene Autry autographed plywood guitar. She arrived from Sears Roebuck one dark, stormy night. I opened the package, she dazzled my sight. From the dark of the bedroom, Pa rose with a shout. Lord of mercy, it's midnight and the sun done come out. Well, I sat down at once and commenced for to play. I played Rock of Ages before the next day. Glory, says Granny, our girl will go far with her wonderful newfangled plywood guitar. With her cowboys and sunsets and 3 plastic coats. She's beautifully stenciled with musical notes. With her bright silver sequins, she shines like a star. My Gene Autry autographed plywood guitar. Well, I practiced and practiced, my fame quickly spread. As faster and faster my fingers they sped. I gained reputation, became quite a star. With my Gene Autry autographed plywood guitar. Thank you. I also sent it out to George Thomas over in Birchwood, who built this guitar.
That's Flip and Zeke here at the kitchen table. So glad to have them here at the kitchen table and all of you out there in internet land coming at you through the ones and the zeros, the cables and the screams due to the hard work of my associate David Pender Lofgren and all of you here in the Columbia neighborhood. Those of you who have joined us from other neighborhoods like York or Seaholm or other far-flung places, or those of you who heard the music and you couldn't avoid us, so you decided to join us. We're glad to have you here at the kitchen table. And I I'm so happy to have Flip and Zeke here. A few times over the years we've ended up at the same music party and have had a chance to hear each other a little bit. And Flip did play at the Jamboree a long time ago and would have had her back, but she's always busy at the Puget Sound Guitar Workshop that happens at the same time, which is happening this year. And I want to let you know that before I do.
Yours is, but not mine.
It's not happening at all. It's not happening online or anything. I'm glad. What can I say? I'm glad that you might show up at the Jamboree, and I should have booked you if I'd known you were available. I thought it was still happening online. So we haven't had Flip and Zeke at the Jamboree as much as we would have, but I want to let you know the Jamboree is happening, and tickets are available. It will be a smaller affair. There'll be more breathing room for reasons that we all understand, but there are tickets available, and I want you to buy them because that will make there be a crowd and money to pay the bands at the crowd. And you can pay us now too. Well, what seems like I'm talking about money a lot. Well, it may not be what makes the world go round, but it is what pays the mortgage and my weekly trip to the co-op that I do on Mondays after we get the donations, digital and otherwise. So here we are at the kitchen table, and when I'm on the road, I always end up staying on some soggy couch somewhere. And after, 10 years, 100, that's 1,000 soggy couches. Add 5 more years. That's 1,500 soggy couches I've slept on. Over the years after gigs and my back, well, I'm feeling all right now. The thing of it is I have heard, and I bet even Flip has heard of this, that there are tall buildings with small rooms that people stay in when they're traveling. But for the most part, what I'm aware of and what she does so nicely to touring musicians is host, and I've been hosted in so many wonderful places. But before you go to sleep, after the gig is over and you come back to somebody's house, you always hang out around the kitchen table and have a cup of tea or a jar of this, that, or the other thing. And you have a few stories and a few songs. And this, my friends, is the point of the show we're at now. The concert is over. We are back at Flip's Kitchen Table on Cherry Street, where people such as Elizabeth Cotten have had a nightcap. And that is just the tip of the iceberg, and we're not going to charge into more music before I get a story or two from Flip about the after-show routine of Cherry Street. Are we talking pie? Are we talking lentil soup? And let's just cut right to it. What did Elizabeth Cotten have after the gig back on Cherry Street?
Libby used to come stay with me between gigs, so we'd hang out a lot.
Yeah.
And I remember her making chicken and dumplings, string beans. It was pretty fun.
And how old were you and how old was she? Rough figures.
I was in my early 20s, so she was probably in her late 70s.
Wow.
And maybe 80s.
Uh-huh.
And she'd show me how to play stuff. And her version of showing me how to play stuff was perhaps the most generous and respectful teaching I've ever encountered. What she'd do is sit down on the couch with me and play the song I wanted from end to end with all the words, everything up to speed without pause for about 2 hours while I fumbled and tried to figure out what was going on. And if you didn't know Libba, she played upside down and backwards. She took a standard guitar and tipped it over. So I couldn't read her fingers and go, oh, that's a C chord. And she didn't know the names of chords and wasn't interested. Thank you. One of my favorite moments with Libba was we hosted her in Seattle in my mother's living room in the apex house that my mom ever owned. That was probably a 1915 Craftsman with cut glass windows and an elevator because a previous owner had polio, so they put in this brass elevator. I mean, the place was elegant. They bought it during the Boeing crash, so they got to do that. And taking Libba there, and Mom knew I was bringing home royalty. So she had the big leather wing chair pulled up. She had a fire going. She brought tea. She brought a cushion for her feet, the whole bit. And Libba was much too much of a lady to ever have said a word about it, but there was something in her smile that I could tell that she was getting a kick out of having a rich white lady wait on her. Which was pretty fun. And then they figured out they wore the same size shoes. So,
So they went for a walk for a mile?
9.5 quintuple A. So Mom took her to Nordstrom's where they had the right size shoes. And Libba was having the first disposable income of her whole life. So
How did this friendship get started?
I was running Mama Sundays.
Yeah.
And John Ullman was from Seattle, was being Libba's agent, and I knew John. And he called and said, "You want Libba?" And I said, "Yes." 1968, I was at a community college, and I heard Libba live in the community college lunchroom on the stage with people eating, rattling silverware, talking, playing cards, playing pool. Libba was a perfect lady and a professional, and she played, and I was only mildly interested. And a couple nights later, a friend dragged me. I was like, I already heard her, right? He dragged me to hear her at the Friends Center in the University District in Seattle. In that space, in a room built for listening, with every person there intending to listen. Libba shone, she was connected, we were connected. She played so beautifully that for me, my heart filled up with the music and spilled over into tears. And I sat there in the audience, shaking, with tears running down my cheeks. And I left the concert thinking, I could do that, and that's worth doing. And everything after that in my life followed from that moment.
Whew. Yeah, a round of applause. I've heard stories that Elizabeth Cotton, I didn't know her personally, so I'm going to stick with that handle, would get on stage gladly and would stay there for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Is this true?
Yeah.
And in fact, she might stay there longer than anyone was planning on her, and she knew a lot of songs, and she would keep going.
She also expected everyone to know the songs. And she'd look at the audience and say, "Well, sing." And we would sing. And the first time I hosted her, she looked at me. I didn't know those songs. I was raised by Jewish atheists, and she was singing Baptist hymns. And by the next time she came around, I knew all the words to all of them.
Well, that's a perfect segue. Normally at this point, I would play something, but I don't want to now. I want to hear you play some Elizabeth Cotton.
You know it? Here we go. Freight train, run so fast. Freight train, run so fast. Please don't tell what train I'm on. They won't know what route I'm gone. Notice the 5 in the bass, it doesn't hit the root at all. won't know what route I've gone. When I am dead and in my grave, no more good times than I crave. Place the stones at my head and feet. Tell them all I'm gone to sleep. Last chance. Freight train, run so fast. Freight train, run so fast. Please don't tell what train I'm on. They won't know what route I've gone.
Oh, thank you for that. Woo. You're trying to tell me that the 5 is never. So there's an E
note
note
of the
going on here that is never the root of the chord.
Yeah.
We're going to some serious
She
tech
was-
talk here. I
she
mean,
was-
Flip just threw that out in the middle of the song and
Six-
blew my mind
6th string, 4th string, 6th string, 4th.
the whole
And
time. Yeah,
John Jackson did that too. They both did that.
they just skipped the 5 string altogether.
They skipped the 5 string. They didn't hit that string.
That's the
till
roots that's not
end
hitting.
Of the song.
But I mean, we got some E chords in there with an E note, so we have occasionally a
We
chord
have
with
some
a root.
roots.
We have
but
some roots.
Not that one.
But not the root of the key that the song's in.
No.
We never once hit that.
No, not till
That
the
is
very
that
end.
is, I can see why you mentioned it.
Yeah.
That's something.
And at the very end of the song, she does this.
Yeah.
And when she does that, it fakes there being a C note below. You can hear it, right? Your ear just fills in that
Yeah.
low note.
Well, this is so cool. This is so cool that the whole format of the show is transitioning because I just want to cut to the chase now. I just want to get to the bottom of the concerns. We've learned a little bit about Elizabeth Cotton, but what I really want to know now is what does Gordon Bach like to have at the end of the night after the gig is done? And I'm asking for David Penderlofgren because he is from the state of Maine. And, so does Gordon want soup after the gig, or does he have something a little stronger?
Okay, Gordon used to have something a little stronger. We managed to score him a bottle of Screech one time.
Oh, Canadian.
You know
rum.
from Screech?
Well, some
David's
Canadians brought me a
looking
bottle of
at me
Screech
and-
once to the Jamboree. And they said, "We're warning you now."
Okay, Screech is when they make Demerara rum in those big barrels. The stuff at the bottom of the barrel is the Screech. And it's as high test of alcohol as you can get. You know, you could probably set your breath on fire. I talked Gordon into coming out here. I wrote him letters for years. And he finally, when I was running Mama Sundays, he finally sent me a letter and said, I'm going to California, but I'd feel really guilty if I went to California and didn't come to Bellingham. So he came, and I put the word out, and about 600 people came from Portland and Victoria and Vancouver and out on the peninsula, and everybody came because
What
it
year are
was
we
a
talking?
big deal. Gordon Bach, B-O-K.
What year?
What year?
I mean, I'm a terrible speller, Flip, and you could tell that intuitively, that if I was asking a question, it quite naturally would be the spelling.
Maybe 76.
Okay,
Rounded.
76. And
Yeah.
first time Gordon Bach played in Bellingham, no question
Yes.
about it.
And he was pacing in the back room getting ready. But I had asked Richard Schultz and Clifford Perry to open for him. And it fell to me to go backstage and talk Gordon into coming and standing in the wings and listening for a minute. He was determined that he had to warm up, so it took a little doing to ask. But he gave in, and he came and listened, and his ears pricked up. He and Richard have been getting together and swapping songs ever since, and tunes. Many of my favorite tunes traveled back and forth between them.
We have somebody off mic here, so I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have to let the listening audience know at home that a lady in the audience has said that Gordon Bach's music is the music that she goes to when, what did you say, in trouble? Yeah.
When things are just off.
I mean, I want to let everybody know she looks great. She's not in trouble now. We don't need to, call anybody or anything like that. But the message there is that the music that Flip brought to town has had ripples for a long time.
If the ocean had a voice, it would be Gordon Bach.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
And every song that he offers us, including the ones he's written, feel like they're 200 years old and have been polished by the waves all these times. It's beautiful music.
Well, I bet you could sing a Gordon Bach song. I mean, if we twisted your arm. You probably wouldn't even make us twist your arm. You can't?
I'm thinking. Okay, but you have to leave me one more song after that.
There's no rush here. The producers of the show are pretty casual, and the show that comes on after us at 7, they understand that we have Flip and Zeke on, and we might run a little late if certain songs need to be sung.
That's audience abuse. But let's see. If I could give you 3 things, I would give you these: song and laughter and a wooden home in the shining sea. When you see old Isle of Hope rising in the dawn, you will play in yellow fields in the morning sun. When I say Isle of Hope, high island off the coast of Maine, think Lummi Island. It looks so similar. Sleep where the wind is warm and the moon is high. Give sadness to the moon, sorrow to the sky. When you see old Isle of Hope rising in the dawn, you will play in yellow fields in the morning sun. Do you hear what the sails are saying in the wind's dark song? Give sorrow to the wind, blown a lee and gone. When you see old Isle of Hope, that's your part, rising in the dawn. Yellow fields in the morning sun. Sleep now, the wind is cold and the moon is high. Give sadness to the stars, sorrow to the sky. When you see old Isle of Hope rising in the dawn, you will play in yellow fields in the morning sun. Thank you. I know there are more verses, but I lost some.
We didn't know that until you told us right now.
That's okay. You want to go find Gordon?
I love it. Turning Towards Morning. Is that one of his records?
Yes.
Without a record. Then there's that great record where it's him and two other folk singers from Maine.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
what a
him,
record.
you're an Ed Trickett.
And we love Gordon Bach, and thank you for introducing him to Bellingham. And I blew it. You brought him to town once when I was living here, but I think I was out of town. You have something you wanted to play, and this is something that happens sometimes when you're sitting around the kitchen table after the gig. Sometimes you find the person who's singing songs far more interesting than your own songs. So you just say, would you do another one, Flip? You had something you wanted to do, and I want to make sure we get that in here. Because actually, we got word from the producers. It's a tough 7 o'clock cutoff. Louis Ledford comes on at 7, and he got really angry, last time when we went into his airspace. Here, we are broadcasting on what my nephew calls Channel 1, the Uncle Channel. And that is going out on the internet 5 to 7 every Sunday. So glad you are with us, and what a special time here with our neighbor Flip Breskin and Zeke Hoskin. And they had a band in the 70s called The Skins. It was absolutely revealing. And we're so happy they've carried on, and here they are now with something Flip wanted to play.
And I will tell you a very short story about an after-concert party. Anybody here know Kate Wolf? I got to throw Kate Wolf's 30th surprise birthday party.
And if you thought Screech was a heavy drink.
No, her agent was some woman sitting around the kitchen table with her kids underfoot, and talking about booking her at Mama Sunday's. It came out that it was Kate's 30th birthday. And so we cooked up. I made salmon. I made my mom's cheese pie with cherries on top. I mean, we did it up right. But then I had the audience primed, and we sang her happy birthday. 200 people got to sing her happy birthday, which was pretty cool. Nina Gerber wasn't there yet.
Ah.
We had to wait for Nina to grow up. Early guitar camp, we were trying to come up with parity in gender in hiring, but we couldn't find women to teach lead guitar. And it kind of looked like the women who had fought their way to it had had to fight too hard to easily give it away. So we had to wait for the next generation. And then Nina showed up. You keep your ears peeled for Nina Gerber. Okay.
Well, no, I got to talk a little bit about Kate Wolf now. We're just, I need to get a little bit more there. I mean, that's a lot. That's more than I was hoping for. But you listen to Kate, and you just think, so much goodness. I mean, let's just get maybe. I know there's no darkness there, but what do you know about Kate Wolf that the rest of us might be surprised to hear?
I don't remember. What I remember is her singing me the song about sitting at the kitchen table with the vine coming through the wall. And in my house, I had a vine coming through the wall. It was a morning glory vine, but it had fought its way through the wall. We sat there.
Love Kate Wolf's music. Love what Eric Taylor says about Kate Wolf. She says, you guys think you're so important, but you think you're artists. You're really you're carnival actors out there. Well, you're on a roll there. I'm jutting in. I'm really anxious to hear what you have coming up.
Okay, I learned this song at a Roderholm Music Circle back in the mid-'70s. And I've looked and looked. I cannot find any source for it. It's not on the internet, as near as I can tell. And I thought, I want to put it there because I've sung it in the early summer ever since this song comes around. Because by the time we hit the longest day of the year, it's real early summer. And all of the warm days, the days are getting shorter and shorter. And this is a song that addresses that. So it's just dear to me. From the longest, nope, I'm coming up. Look at that. Thank God for K-pops. I have to yawn, so you have to yawn with me. I'm completely serious here. Yawning triggers your parasympathetic nervous system. It cuts out the adrenaline rush that's stage fright. You can cancel stage fright by yawning. Generally 20 minutes right before you walk on stage and you're actually in the same space with the people. You can see the people you're singing to. That story I told about Libba, how different it was listening to her in a room with people listening. One of the things I figured out is I've been trying to create that ever since, because the audience is actually a key part of any performance.
Don't let them know.
From the longest, mildest day, from the sunlight, turn away, turn again in your courses, turn again. I'm coming all the way up, look at that. Hey, maybe here. To the harvest, yes, rich and warm, apple, onion, bean, and corn.
Turn again in your courses, turn again.
That's your part. To the harvest. No, I did that, didn't I? To the fall with rain and cold, yellow beans and berries gold.
Turn again
in your courses,
turn again.
To the winter, white and brown, draggled clouds come snowing down. Turn again in your courses, turn again. Maid and mother, mild and strong, crone who hurries life along. Turn again in your courses,
turn again.
It's not our comfort, but your will is this year we live by still.
Turn again in your courses, turn again.
So from the longest, mildest day, from the sunlight, turn away.
Turn again in your courses, turn again.
Thank you. That one's from Catherine Madsen, and I haven't been able to find her either. So,
Catherine Madsen.
just keep your ears peeled. If anybody ever runs into her, point her my way.
And you heard this song from Catherine or for someone else?
No, I heard it from somebody who'd learned it from Catherine. And Catherine had lived in Alaska, but she wrote it living in the Midwest.
Okay. And do you remember who you learned it from?
It might have been Aaron Corday, but I don't know.
I love that. Both that is Aaron Corday, great songwriter here from Bellingham. Also, I love that you may not know.
Yeah.
Because the process of being a folk singer requires learning songs, and the songs are really what live on. beyond the names of those who wrote it. And it is time now for Stump the Band, which we didn't prep you for at all. Not even Flip or Zeke knew about this before the show began. And at Stump the Band, that is your chance to send a request up to the bandstand. It's our quest to do our best with the request. And sometimes we do better, sometimes we do worse, but I am so excited to have the song arsenal that is Flip Breskin here over the table right next to Zeke, who is the cavalry, I've come to understand, of the song arsenal. Now, normally I would have given you warning, but I didn't. So what's going to happen now is each of you in the space of this monologue I'm at right now needs to come up with a request. And just like your English teacher in high school, you need to have an answer whether I call on you or not. So some of you are thinking the odds are good he's not going to call on me, but no, you need to have an answer, and I know you do. I believe in each and every one of you to have a request for us. Now, you can request something you know we know. You can request something you know we don't know. Or you can follow the direction of a man who really should have come to justice before he passed on to the other side. And you can ask us a song that you don't know that we don't know. Those are the options you have coming to you here. And, well, let's start with our friend in the black hat there and the dog. We're going to come back to him for the third request. We always get three. And so we'll go to the man in the yellow hat. Yes, you can request anything, but you can't request anything. Okay, that's one request. We send the research librarians in the back of our brains to try to find out if we can sing wild horses, and then we look for another person to have a request here. Oh, around the corner, the lady in the blue shirt, over on my far left, that's yourself.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
No, it keeps turning into dead
Well,
flowers.
I would recommend yawning, and it could sort of bring the whole thing together.
We didn't do wild horses.
Okay, come back to you. We're doing nothing but circling back. I know I didn't give you very much opportunity. Usually, I give people a chance to think of requests, and I do lean towards the people whom I don't know on a first name basis. So that brings me to the lady in the second row in the pink shirt. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to skip Stump the Band just for the moment here. Let people have a little time because I have more questions for Flip, and then we're going to get to Stump the Band because we've been beating around the bush this whole time. We've been talking about Kate Wolf and Elizabeth Cotten and Gordon Bach, but I'm just not going to hold back any longer. I want to know what Utah Phillips had after the gig at your kitchen table.
Soup.
Soup, soup, they gave us a handout of soup. Soup, soup, they gave us a handout of soup. That's a Utah
pie?
Phillips song.
Moose turd pie, yes.
Moose turd pie.
Did you never hear Bruce tell that story? Good, though. Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a couple Bruce stories, but I call him Utah Phillips because I didn't know him well enough, although I did meet him up at the Vancouver Folk Festival, and he launched into You Gotta Mess With People. And it was like, Mr. Utah, I've heard the record. I know, man. So I have a feeling Utah Phillips might stick around for more than one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And was he good with the dishes?
Yeah, but
Not as good as Kate Wolf with the dishes.
Bruce never played Mama Sundays because Mama Sundays was free, and Bruce was clear that people should pay for music, that if you gave it away, people would get the wrong idea about how to treat musicians.
Cool.
So he was very clear on that one.
Didn't you have a hat though at Mama Sunday's? Wasn't there a donation box or later years?
Speaking of donation boxes.
I don't remember that. I remember Advance of the Turtles, and I remember Kevin Mike getting me a bigger budget year after year.
You remember Advance of the Turtles?
Yes.
I don't remember Advance of the Turtles, and I think I'm not alone. Can you tell us more about the Advance of the Turtles?
Sure. We were in a room at the end of the hall, and there was a stage and a bunch of tables with little chairs around it.
In Bellingham?
In Bellingham.
In what
up
building?
At Western.
At Western, okay.
In the VU.
Yep.
And-
Viking Union.
Yes, and after a while, we started getting so many people there that there wasn't room for that. So we'd pull the tables out, and we'd put the chairs around the back wall and the side wall, and everybody else would sit on the floor. And to begin with, people would be kind of spread out. But as the evening progressed, we'd wind up, when people were like 8 or 10 deep in the hall, standing trying to see what was happening, I'd bounce up and announce an advance of the Turtles, and everybody sitting cross-legged on the floor would scoot forward to make room at the back for people to come in.
But Utah Phillips didn't play these gigs, so there was no Turtle Advance on Utah Phillips.
No, but there was a frog.
Tell me more about the frog.
I had little kids back then. Oh, and one of my kids, are any of you young enough to know the band The Posies?
Sure.
Okay, my son John Hour is,
Well, I never put that
Posey.
together.
yeah.
How about that?
And John had a mug that had a frog in the bottom, and if you drank far enough down, you could finally see the frog. And I had a spare one in case John's mug broke. And Bruce saw it and coveted it. And I sent it home with him. And I heard from him years later it was still running.
I can probably play half of this song, and I'm guessing you're going to be able to know the other half of it.
Maybe.
Is that the moon I see over there in the west? Or just a headlight beam? See no express, I know it's gone. Whatever I say, it won't be long till I make up my mind and go away. She's watching me, I'm watching you, because I don't know, do we land on the 1, do we land on the 4? You got options. You got the second verse?
Oh, is that? No, my mind goes straight to see the old fool out on the trestle. Blind old man can't hear the whistle, can't get up and he can't get back. Train keeps him coming, push him off the track. Other winds may blow and the moon may rise, still I'm bound to go where the fast mail flies. I know she's gone. Whatever I say, it won't be long till I make up my mind
And go away. The great Utah Phillips. Okay, we've given you a chance, and we've already played a song we half know, so we're coming back around to those who needed a little more. Oh, yes, the lady on my left. Roll on Columbia, that's request number 2. We have Wild Horses and Roll on Columbia, and we're looking for a third request so we can do our best.
Turning toward the morning.
Turning towards the morning.
Oh my.
What was that?
What do you got, Flip? What do you got, Zeke?
Except it's really long. We will do a little bit of turning toward the morning for you. How about that? In G. When the deer have bedded down and the bear is gone to ground and the northern goose has wandered off to warmer bays and sound, it's so easy in the cold to feel the that the stars are swinging slow and the seas are rolling easy as they did so long ago. If I had a thing to give you, I'd tell you one more time that the world is always turning toward the morning. I'm gonna jump. That it's a pity we don't know what the little flowers know. They can't face the cold November. They can't take the wind and snow. They put their glory all behind them, bow their heads and let it go. But you know, they'll be there shining in the morning. Jody, don't you know that the stars are swinging slow and the seas are rolling easy as they did so long ago. If I had a thing to give you, I'd tell you one more time that the world is always turning toward the morning. Can I get him to sing one song?
We have nowhere to go that's better than here.
Better give me that. Does that work? Is that the right song?
Yeah, sure.
Zeke is a hidden Bellingham treasure. I don't think I've ever seen.
Yeah,
You must
no,
have
I
gigs that you've done, but I never
You can
see your
hold it up.
name in advertisements
I
or
can hold it
anything. And then you turn up with all these wonderful songs, and I think, where was I? What have I missed?
So
He's a bad boy.
I'm going to sing an obsolete song here, but it's only a little bit obsolete.
I'm looking because I thought the words were here. You're going to wing it, man.
I'm
I
going to
don't
wing
see
it, that's
'em.
fine.
Okay.
Last year was officially the year of the rat, and I want you to remember that. Astrologically speaking, it's the year of the rat, but this year is different, everybody knows that. Surviving a pandemic brings a new kind of demands, and I never knew a rat to wear a mask or wash its hands. Wash your hands,
Wash your hands.
wear your mask.
Wear your mask.
Do you really think that that's too much to ask? If you act like foolish humans, you'll catch it pretty soon in the year
In the year
of the raccoon. When I think of those astrologers, I have to wonder how they got a dog but not a cat, an ox but not a cow. There's a dragon and a monkey, a rooster and a horse. There wasn't a raccoon before, but now there is, of course. Wash your hands,
Wash your hands.
wear your mask.
Wear your mask.
Do you really think that that's too much to ask? If you act like foolish humans, you'll catch it pretty soon in the year
In the year
of the raccoon. RACCOONCORONA. See, it's not a perfect anagram, but it's close enough for me. Now some folks think it's all a hoax. They'll get right in your face. If they don't get it, then they've got it, and they spread it every place. Though we may have to eat from dumpsters in our economic plight, raccoons wear masks around their eyes, but we can wear them right. Wash your hands,
Wash your hands.
wear your mask.
Wear your mask.
Do you really think that that's too much to ask? If you act like foolish humans, You'll catch it pretty soon in the year
of the
raccoon. So now you understand about the year of the trash panda. It's the year
It's the year
of the raccoon.
We have to just make the show run a little bit later than usual because there's one more I was really hoping to hear from you, and you know which one it is because I asked for it before we started, and it's such a cool tune. I don't even know where I heard it, but I heard it and I thought, okay, Zeke is Bellingham's secret nugget of great song, and so if you wouldn't mind, could you do the one about your girlfriend?
I'll do my best.
Most of my songs are fiction. This one is true. My lover is learning music from Hawaii. She practices 14 hours every day. She will not participate in blues or old time, or all those mainland tunes we used to play. Oh, woe is me, Don Ho and she are making our jam sessions truly trying. If I sing a song, she won't play along unless I put in licks that sound Hawaiian. Hawaiian music moves so very slowly. When I sing up tempo, she gets left behind. I guess I am going to have to learn some slow songs, or else I'm simply going to lose my mind. Aloha, oi vey. There's no joy in singing songs that creep along so slowly. If they had a beat, they'd still sound sweet. But what the heck do I know? I'm a haole. A little Hawaiian music is a fine thing, but a steady diet of it rots your soul. I'm going to get us tickets to Hawaii, 'cause there I hear they just play rock and roll.
That's my friends Flip and Zeke. Thank you so much for being here at the kitchen table. What a memorable, wonderful time.
Thank you.
I have one, and then that's going to be about the end of the show, but you got just talking about Kate Wolf there, and I know, maybe not the last time I saw you, but I know we were there at Bob Simmons Memorial.
Yeah.
This is a song I played at Bob Simmons, originally written for my wonderful Aunt Sarah. And I remember being about 12 years old in my father's Volkswagen bus, listening to Kate Wolf, and the song comes on, Some Kind of Love is Like Gold. And Dad says, that's you and Sarah. Though they give me pretty good stuff, I've been laying long enough. This cloudy mind, it's not who I am. When I lost my taste for wine, knew I was running out of time. With a twinkle in my eye, I'm saying goodbye. Moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on. The song is basically a chorus with some lyrics in between, so the next time it comes around, you know what to do. There's only 2 words in the chorus. I can see the other side. I am ready for that ride. Mind drifting, body floating away. I can hear my mother's laugh. Mary's pouring another glass. Pull up a chair, making room for one more. Moving on, moving on. Moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on. No, I don't want to go, but it's a drag moving so slow. I cannot rise, I can only fall. Pain wakes me from my rest. A few hard, steady breaths. Close my eyes and fade. Moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on. Let's do it again now. Moving on, moving on. Moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on, moving. One more time, try that harmony you've been hearing in your head. Sing it wrong, but sing it loud. Moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on. Thank you so much to Flip and Zeke for being on the show. Thanks to all of you here in the live audience. Thanks to all of you out there at this kitchen table that extends all the way to Guelph, Ontario, and over there to St. Louis and Missouri, and to Tallahassee, and to Kalamazoo, and to New York City, too. Thanks to my friend and associate David Penderlofgren, who's out here connecting the cables and the screens and the ones and the zero. Thanks to Connor, who's the one who's going to edit all of this and put this in clips on YouTube that are decipherable. And thanks to my friend Jeremy, who is turning this into a podcast. He turns our 2-hour show into a 1-hour show that's worth listening to. I mean, when you're here, I hope it's a good time, you know. But it's nothing wrong with editing. What do we have for announcements? We got to tell you a few things that are going on. Most importantly, that the Subdued String Band Jamboree will be kicking into gear in about 1 month's time. There are plenty of preparations to be made. The Subdued String Band Jamboree is in its 21st year. Happens at the Demilog Show Fairgrounds, where they have a plaque on the side of their kitchen that reads, "Having a 3-day logging festival is really no problem. provided you've made all the necessary preparations. I can only guess there was a sense of humor when they made that plaque. I find the humor in it. Anyways, we are busy making the necessary preparations, and we hope you get a ticket and come and join us. You have to get a pre-sale ticket this year. You can't just roll up at the gate. You got to get the pre-sale ticket, and you got to send us your card that says you've been vaccinated, because we are not done with COVID yet, even though we want to be. We're not done with it yet, so only people who have been vaccinated can gather and be in proximity to each other in a way that may be revealing and intimate, so we cannot have any of these Delta or other frat varieties floating around the scene.
Say, Robert, where could people buy those tickets if they
Sub-
wanted to?
It's a Google world, you know. Stringbandjamboree.com. You know, there's a lot of festivals out there, but somehow I got to String Band Jamboree before anybody else. There is a string band jamboree I know in Arkansas, but I guess they have to call themselves Arkansas Stringbandjamboree.com. I don't know. Find us at stringbandjamboree.com. All the details there about what kind of COVID precautions and regulations we got going. Find the tickets, get your camping organized. We got a great lineup. We have Jolie Holland, we have Hot Damn Scandal, we have Winston Jarrett, we have Karen Kunkel. We should have had Flip and Zeke, but I made a mistake, and we need to get you there before too many more times, because we miss you. We miss you having
It's
there.
a wonderful. If you've never been, go.
Thank you, Flip.
Really.
And if you haven't had a chance yet out there in the audience that stretches around the globe, please do make your way to the digital tip jar and put some money in the jar. We're going to spread that money around between all the performers, and we're all going to see each other tomorrow making our weekly shopping trip at the Community Food Co-op. And if you're here in this audience, there's a hat over there. You can put some cash in the hat. We know how to spend cash too. We always close out the show with this song here from my buddy Hank Waddell from Cork City, Ireland. Hank plays every Monday night at Charlie's on the Quay. Hank and Ray are there every Monday night. So when you're in Cork City, if you have a chance to go, drop in to Hank and Ray's show on Monday night. Tell them I sent you. And you can find me every Thursday, 5 o'clock at Boundary Bay Brewery playing the Happy Hour show. I feel like I've really got it going on because I've been doing that show for 21 years. Hank and Ray have been doing their show for 40 years. So I've got a little ways to go to catch up with them. We always love leaving you with this song here. It's great to see you, because we thought you were dead. Did you come back to life? Did you get out of your bed? It's great to see you. Was that your ghost? We thought you were gone. Burnt toast. It's great to see you. Whisper nothing, sing softly on your ear. Try not to cut short the moment that's here. Shadow it might be, feeling's clear. I couldn't ask for anything more. It's all about the times we shared. It's all about the times we share. So it's great to see you. Are you gonna stay? Are you here for the long night? Are you leaving at the break of day? It's great to see you. Yeah, it's true. It's great to see you. It's great to be near you. It's all about the times we share. It's all about the times we share. Everybody sing along now. Let the neighbors know there's a good time been happening here. And the next time they're going to crawl out of their cubbies and join us. Or maybe they'll join us right now singing out their bathroom windows. They're in there taking a whiz, and what is going on over there? Well, it's all about the times we share. It's all about the times we share. We'll see you next week. Louis Ledford's the guest next week. We'll be doing a broadcast supported by the Mission Folk Festival, another great folk festival that happens 2 weeks before the Jamboree. They're all online, and we are the kickoff show next Sunday. So we hope to see you next Sunday. Broadcasting from West Seattle next Sunday with the one and only Louis Ledford. 1 month to the Jamboree. We'll see you soon. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.